featuring open-ended levels for both combative and stealth-focused playstyles. With influences taken from System Shock 2, Bioshock, and Dead Space to name a few, it is a game that combines old-school sci-fi horror with modern style and graphics. To that I say poppycock. Solarix may take influence from countless other competent games, but it lacks just that, competency. It's a horribly unfinished, unenjoyable mess that is a constant chore from start to finish. Any semblance of horror or atmosphere the game might have garnered is purged by horrid gameplay and a muddled, confusing story. The story at its most basic form is that you're a space engineer fighting to stop a space virus that has wiped out the inhabitants of a space station. Virus, space engineer, amnesia, it's like they've made a cocktail out of a bunch of different features from other horror games. Like System Shock 2, the vast majority of character development comes from audio logs or text you find in computer terminals or around the environment. People drivelling on and on about events that have long since passed. Sometimes these audio or text logs contain codes that you'll need to progress through the game, forcing you to listen to every little tidbit of useless info to find that one nugget of actual importance. Each chapter in the game puts you in a somewhat large area, usually full of enemies, often requiring you to find a keycard for the exit, along with completing other menial tasks you'd expect in a sci-fi horror game. You know, log into computer terminals, hack this or hack that, gain access to some sort of locked off area, etc. It's been done before, and if you've played any sci-fi game in the past decade, you've already done this a dozen times. Now, the game reminds you frequently that you're an engineer, not a soldier, though it does put a gun in your hand quite early on. You're given a pistol which is supposed to kill enemies with a single headshot, and yet despite my best efforts, it always takes 2, if not 3 shots to kill anyone, even when my crosshair is directly over their cranium. Now, I'm not sure if this is a problem with the hit detection or because I'm just not hitting the right spot, but in a game where you've only ever got 5 or 6 bullets at any one time, this kind of thing just isn't acceptable. Later in the game you get a shotgun as well, which is both underpowered and unenjoyable, and ammo for both of these is so rare that you will hardly use either of them anyway. As a non-lethal alternative, you're given a weapon called a shocker, which is supposed to be able to knock enemies out if you hit them from behind, but it seldom works. Hitting enemies in the head is tricky, as most often they're patrolling back and forth, and the crawl speed is so incredibly slow, it's often easier to just outright avoid them, but mostly because half the time, the damn thing just doesn't work at all.